This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Russ Capper.
Hi, I'm Russ Capper, and welcome to episode number 115 of the Energy Makers Show. Today we feature Stan Wall, co-founder and CEO of SageRider, the oil and gas service company that has a non-intervention, unconventional way of gathering detailed, real-time, downhole data. All of that coming up right after this. Hi, I'm Russ Capper, and welcome to another edition of the Drilling Bits brought to you by Sikich. Once again, I'm joined by Greg Price, partner at Sikich and also the author of the Drilling Bits. Greg, good to see you once again.
Thanks, Russ. It's good to be back on the Energy Makers Show.
You bet. Well, tell us what we're going to talk about today.
Well, you know, Russ, we've had a lot of interest and a lot of new customers with our Energy Suite solution, and I thought we might talk about dashboards today.
Dashboards, all right.
That's
cool.
Correct.
Yeah.
Particularly maybe a CEO dashboard.
Whoa. So what does a CEO want to see?
Well, most CEOs really focus in on a few things. Everybody has their own little unique odds and ends that they like, but let's take the first top three or four, and we'll go with that. The first one is cash flow.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody wants to know where's the cash and how long for the cash to get in, et cetera. And so we built an interactive cash flow forecast tool at the dashboard level. So you can change your what-if scenarios, accelerate cash collections, delay accounts payable payments, maybe draw on a line of credit, and all of this is interactive, literally on the fly as you're literally in the screen. So
impressive.
You can see that.
Impressive.
Real-time reporting from Microsoft, that's for sure. The second thing that we like to see with our customers, particularly the CEOs, is tell me about my best customers. Now, best customers carries lots of different definitions. Sometimes best customers mean most revenue, but other CEOs want to know most profitable. And if most revenue is not most profitable, maybe I need to be selling more of those most profitable items to other people as well. And so that gives them a little deeper insight into their business. Another thing that they ask about is, what is my most profitable equipment that I'm either renting or providing as a service to my customer? And in addition, do certain crews that operate them work more efficiently, less accidents, less downtime, or maybe they have a different billing rate based on their performances and the equipment that they run. So which equipment or which crews are my best and most profitable? And converse of that would be which ones are my least profitable or least revenue generating, and I'd like to know why that is. And the last thing that we like to talk about is what's the daily activity? And each company has a little bit different mode of what's important to them. It could be number of trucks that have left the yard that day with items on it. It could be the amount of equipment that's being utilized. We might have an 85% utilization factor in the field. So we try to figure out for that particular CEO, what are his hot buttons for that particular day, and we can give that to him real time on his dashboard. One of the things that I found most impressive is the CEOs who take these tools, and before their crews hit the job site at 7 a.m., they've already contacted the foreman with emails and updates by text based on the previous day's operations.
Wow, Greg, if I were a CEO of oilfield services company, I don't think I could live without this now, having heard it.
Well, it certainly can change your business, and in this business, information is everything.
Absolutely. All right, and that wraps up this edition of the Drilling Bits brought to you by Sikich. Thanks for tuning in.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. My guest now is Stan Wall, co-founder and CEO of SageRider. Stan, welcome to the Energy Makers Show.
Thanks, Russ. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
You bet. Tell us about SageRider.
SageRider is an oil and gas service company that was founded on the principles of gathering downhole data in kind of an unconventional way. We have several different products and services that we offer. Our flagship product and service right now is what we call SageWatch, which is an externally casing deployed system that allows us to communicate directly with the reservoir, collect data, pressure, temperature, and all other kinds of production monitoring information that we can get from distributive acoustic sensing, distributive temperature sensing using fiber optic technology.
Okay, externally casing deployed means that you're outside the casing.
That's correct. It's a little bit unconventional and non-traditional in the sense that prior to this technique coming up, the majority of information gathered from downhole was gathered through intervention type methods, whether it be electric line, production logging tools, memory production logging tools, slick line deployed tools, coiled tubing deployed tools. What we've been able to do is to develop a system that allows us to deploy these measuring devices on the outside of the casing, get in direct contact with the reservoir face. And what that does is gives you, as an operator, the ability to monitor not only what's going on in the reservoir during the initial completion phase, but also for the production phase, the life of the well. Also use this to interact with other well bores that are also in the vicinity so that you can do better reservoir modeling, better completion design, and ultimately help you determine whether or not you're going to drill more wells, less wells, more efficient wells. It's really just a very critical part of the overall understanding of the reservoir.
Well, and I would assume being outside the casing, you don't really ever interrupt production, or do you?
Not really. During the phase that we're installing, it's part of the drilling operation. So when the casing is run, we're out there, we install the equipment. We do the cement job traditionally if cement is involved or not, if it's an open hole completion. And then we'll walk away, come back after the rig is moved, and then once the completion process starts, and in the unconventional shales, that of course means fracking. So what we do is we will sit and monitor in this particular well that we just installed the equipment, which we would call the host well. And as the operator, the stimulation activities on adjacent wells, we'll be able to monitor that activity from the host well. And then ultimately, when you stimulate the host well, we'll be able to monitor it right there at the very time, giving you real-time information as the stimulation is going on, giving you the ability to make adjustments in the stimulation as it's going on. And that's just one of the front-end parts. Long-term, reservoir monitoring, being able to calculate reserves, being able to help with your downspacing or upspacing requirements, and then production inflow modeling through the life of the well. This is a really, really unique method that we have that allows you to start from the beginning of the well all the way through the end of the well and collect data not only specific to that particular well, but to the reservoir and to the general field, so as to help with development.
I'm curious, it sort of not being the standard way to do this, what triggered the idea?
Well, we've got some industry partners that came to us years ago and said, this is the type of thing we want to do. Our background individually is almost exclusively on downhole tools, well bore construction, all the components that go into mechanical aspects of the deployment system. So when the idea was developed, we were able to add our input in terms of how do we do this and how do we successfully do this in a safe manner? How do we deploy these things to bottom? How do we communicate with the reservoir? These are the things where we've added our expertise. And from that point, we've been able to grow this exponentially, quite frankly, in terms of the way we have developed some of the downhole pressure temperature sensors, the deployment of the fiber optic systems. This has been extremely exciting for all of us here, and it's just really in our wheelhouse for what we do really good.
And how long ago was that this partner brought this challenge to
The technology came about in 2006. And when we started SageRider as a full-on service company in 2008, because what we saw was a void in the industry where we needed a one-stop shop where a client could come and say, I need to be able to do this, this, and this. And our expertise has allowed us to develop the tools to do it, but also the methods. And I think the methods sometimes are underrated, but what we have is a full project management type scope so that we take and work with your client. If you were a client, we would work with your geologists, your reservoir engineers, your drilling people, your completion people, your production people, facilities, surface integration, the whole thing. And we walk this thing through from beginning to end. So we cover the entire gamut of you and your operation so that we link these things together. And that's a big key to our success. The hardware, the knowledge of the construction, and the ability to walk the project through from beginning to end.
All right, we'll be back with more with Stan Wall, co-founder and CEO of SageRider, after this.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Okay, continuing on with Stan Wall, co-founder and CEO of SageRider. When I hear about the expertise here, it makes me think that you guys might have been able to sort of overcome that length of time that it normally takes for commercialization of technology out in the oil field. Although, we're talking about 5 years now, but was it difficult to get your first customer? Or was it the person that brought you the idea to begin with?
No, it's definitely difficult. And a lot of the reasons is because, as I said, we have so many clients inside the client. If you're the geologist, we're giving you some information that you perhaps have not had access to before.
Okay.
And as a reservoir engineer, you're getting the same thing. Well, unfortunately, but reality says that reservoir engineers and geologists typically don't have a lot of buying power. That's just the nature of the beast.
Right.
So now we've got to go and communicate that through the drilling groups, through the upper level of management. So the lead cycle for getting this product in the ground, it can be quite long. But the value that you get out the back end of it is so substantial that we have never had a client that didn't install one of these wells that didn't follow it up with one or more after the fact.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that in and of itself speaks volumes for what the value is long term.
Okay. And so, your growth, which is sort of how you got on my radar, is it at an all-time high?
Well, we've had a great year in 2013 as it comes to a close. 2014 seems to be looking extremely good. What we know is going to happen in 2014 versus what we knew this time last year is triple. So we're going to have a very good 2014, and certainly beyond that, as this technology is just now starting to move outside continental U.S. So we have some Canadian projects planned. We have some Latin American projects planned for 2014. We'll be in the Middle East in the 2014s. So I don't think that what we've done to this point here, domestic U.S., is any measure of what we're going to ultimately do, whether it be next year or the following year or the year after.
Okay. Well, and it also seems like you kind of evolved the technology at the exact right time with the shale gale taking place and all this activity.
Yeah, that was a good timing on our part. We joke all the time because we started in 2008, and I think if we all kind of roll the clock back to 2008, maybe not the best time in our industry or the best time in our general U.S. economy to start a business.
Well, that's true. But you got to use your technology a little bit.
We did.
Work out the kinks, and then when things took off, wow, you're still here.
We're still here, and I think the thing that I think all of us can learn from this, we had a very, very good foundation of partners, individuals that work here at the company full time. That group is still intact and is still here today. We went through some pretty lean times in 08 and 9 and into 10, but as the industry started to continue to get healthier and this technology started to grow and our ability to communicate it to the industry, the value of it, now we're just starting to see the serious uptick of what we think this ultimately will be.
Sounds like real exciting times.
It's fun. It's a good time. I mean, it's people ask, well, why do you do these things, or do you have any keys to success? And really, it's luck, it's timing, it's good partners, it's determination. We're pretty good at what we do too. We're very technical, we're very highly skilled. We've got good communication skills amongst a group, and we're just honest with each other and honest with our industry. And I think that helps all of us. And it's well served for all of us, not just now, but as we go into the rest of this decade.
Well, Stan, I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. It sounds real exciting.
Thank you very much, Russ. I'm glad to be here.
You bet. And that wraps up my discussion with Stan Wall, co-founder and CEO of SageRider. And that wraps up this episode of The Energy Makers Show, heard on the radio and seen right here at TheEnergyMakers.com.